A business in Windsor was shot out early this morning, and several bullet holes were found in the glass once police arrived on the scene. Thanks for joining us here at 6. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Annette Montgomery. The good news is police say no one was hurt as a result of the shooting at Run It Up Boutique on Windsor Avenue.
Now tonight, police are analyzing surveillance footage as a result of the investigation. Fox 61's Jamel Johnson shares the latest.
Police say 3 masked gunmen fired shots into this building behind me in the middle of the night. Landlord John Gibson didn't even know what happened until he got a phone call several hours later.
I got a phone call from my daughter about 7:45 this morning, told me that it looked like some gunshot holes was in my window. I called 911 and told them what was going on. When I got down there, the police was there and they was taping off things. So this thing actually happens at leave at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Gibson says he noticed the bullet holes in the building as soon as he arrived. As police began search for evidence, they reviewed video from a security camera outside the store. Gibson also saw the video. He says he's shocked by what he saw.
Camera showed me it was 3 guys pulling out their guns, shooting up this urban store that I went out to, these guys, young guys. And they were shooting up their windows. I think they about 27 rounds they shot. I'm glad everybody was safe. Nobody got shot.
Police said the gunman took off south on Windsor Avenue towards Skitchawag Street. Gibson rents the building to Run It Up Boutique. He says the situation makes him nervous and he doesn't understand why someone would target the store.
Nothing usually happens out here. I've been out here 11, 12 years and nothing like this I have seen at all. So this is something new to us. We want to put an end to it, and hopefully the criminals get caught soon as possible.
I talked to people who live nearby. They didn't want to talk on camera, but they say they are disturbed by what happened. Now, we asked Gibson if he could send us the surveillance footage from the shop, but he said he didn't want to compromise the investigation. In Windsor, Jamel Johnson, Fox 61.
And Jamel, thank you. Meriden police say they might have an update for us sometime tonight on a shooting on State Street. They say a man was shot there around 4:30 yesterday afternoon. We don't know much more right now other than that man is expected to survive. And of course, we'll pass along any updates when they come in.
The first case of Clade 1 Mpox, which is a more severe strain of the disease, has now been reported in Connecticut. Health officials say right now there's no risk to the general public. They say the person who got it recently traveled to Western Europe, where that strain is currently spreading. Now, the viral illness spreads mainly through direct skin-to-skin contact with the rash, but a person can also spread the virus starting up to 4 days before symptoms appear, and until that rash has fully healed. Tonight, health experts encourage people who may be at risk to get fully vaccinated.
Time for a look at the weather now. We had some nice beneficial rains earlier today, then a bit of a break. I even saw some sunshine, then we have more rain on the way.
Yep.
Let's get to Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank. Rach, I'm guessing then there's going to be more rain and then a break and then more rain.
Spot on.
Yeah.
You win.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, it's going to be kind of off and on as we head through the next 2 days, but I think tomorrow will be the wettest day of the week. For now, we're not seeing anything too bad out there, a couple of light showers, but notice some heavier downpours, even storms back through Pennsylvania and New York State. I don't think we see severe weather around here tomorrow, but there is a chance for an isolated rumble of thunder. Most of the state is dry right now, but we do have some showers in the northern 4 counties, Storrs, Ashford, Eastford, seeing a little bit of rain. You're seeing some light showers here through Simsbury and Granby. But notice, again, New Haven, Fairfield, New London counties, not doing too bad. It's just kind of cloudy. Here's a look at the wind. We're noticing it out of the south, gusts as high as about 30 to 35 miles per hour. And that wind will slowly diminish tonight. Temperatures climbed into the low to mid 60s. Overnight lows will be in the 50s, and we'll see periods of rain continue tomorrow. While there will be some breaks in between, it just makes it challenging to plan your day. We'll get a closer look at the warm up that follows for the weekend and beyond coming up.
The trial to decide if DCF was negligent in how it handled the case involving a 7-month-old boy wrapped up today. Aiden Moreno was killed in 2015 after his father threw him off a bridge. And today, attorneys from both sides gave their closing arguments. And Fox 61's Alicia Hercules joins us live in Waterbury with more on what those attorneys had to say. Alicia.
Annette, the attorney representing Aiden Moreno's estate said DCF should have done more to protect Aiden and placed him in temporary custody. But the assistant attorney general has a different argument.
There has to be a sufficient evidentiary basis to do it, and it wasn't here.
Assistant Attorney General John Tucker argued that at the time of the incident, DCF had no reason to take temporary custody of Aiden. Throughout the trial, several DCF workers testified that they were aware of the abuse allegations and threats made by Tony Moreno to both his son Aiden and his mother, Adrienne Oyola. However, Tucker told the judge that this did not mean Aiden was in imminent danger.
There was a stale, more than 4-month-old threat. There was low-level domestic violence. None of that qualified for either a 96-hour hold or an order of temporary custody.
Keith McCabe, who was representing Aiden's estate, said in his closing argument that there was more than enough evidence for DCF to do so.
So despite the fact that DCF recognized this was a domestic violence situation, they never conducted that safety assessment.
McCabe said that DCF should have conducted a safety assessment of Aiden with his father prior to him getting custody. On June 29th in 2015, a family court judge dropped a temporary restraining order that prevented Moreno from having any contact with Aiden and the boy's mom. DCF workers testified that dropping the restraining order weighed heavily in their assessment of Aiden's safety.
If you've got a Superior Court judge that looks at all this evidence, that makes credibility determinations, and determines there isn't sufficient evidence to support a restraining order, of course you're going to look at that.
Days after the restraining order was dropped, Aiden was killed when his father threw him off the Aragoni Bridge in Middletown on July 5th.
And that was Aiden's last moments. Literally tortured, drowning, suffocating, not being able to swim.
McCabe said that DCF had the duty to act in Aiden's best interest regardless of any court decision, which he says DCF failed to do.
If DCF, as of June 30, had instituted either a 96-hour hold or had requested and were granted an ex parte OTC, Mr. Moreno would not have been able to take Aiden.
Tucker said that DCF made its decisions in this case solely based on what they knew during that time.
DCF's actions have to be judged by the information before it at the time, not on the basis of 2020 hindsight.
Both sides are required to file a brief in the case by the end of next month, and after that, the judge will make his ruling. Live in Waterbury, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
All right. Meanwhile, Waterbury's former water superintendent is willing to plead guilty to forgery charges if he is accepted into an accelerated rehabilitation program. That's according to Bradley Millay's attorney. Millay has been accused of lying about his education and qualifications. Waterbury police say they discovered Millay's misconduct while investigating water flow issues that plagued firefighting efforts in the city. The mayor, though, has said Millay's misconduct is not directly related to that problem.
Essentially, our position is Mr. Millay was well qualified, he did his job, and really, for lack of a better expression, is a political fall guy for an incident that took place.
Now, Millay's next court date is July 1st. If he is accepted for accelerated rehabilitation, his record will be erased after 2 years of probation.
An 82-year-old bicyclist hit a van yesterday and is now recovering from serious injuries. Groton police tell us the driver and man who was riding an electric bike were traveling on Allen Street in the Mystic section of town. We're told the bicyclist then veered into traffic from the shoulder and hit the side of the van. Investigators say that driver did remain on scene and is cooperating with the investigation.
And investigators are trying to figure out what led to a motorcycle and a car colliding yesterday in Vernon. It happened on Route 30, right near a car dealership. Police say a man on the motorcycle was seriously hurt. They say the driver of the car is helping with the investigation, and no charges have been filed at this time. The leaders of the world's two largest economies are meeting in Beijing for high-stakes talks with potential global consequences.
Right now, leaders in the U.S. and China hope to repair trade relationships as the war with Iran has now cast a big shadow on those talks. Brian Abel has what you need to know.
China rolling out the red carpet for U.S. President Donald Trump in Beijing to begin 2 days of critical talks on a host of thorny issues, from trade to tech, but likely to dominate the war with Iran, the start of which pushed Trump to delay this trip, and now looks to complicate it.
He delayed it because he thought that by the time he got here in mid-May, that the war would be over, the Iranians would be turning over their nuclear program, and the Strait of Hormuz would be open. None of those are true.
China, the largest consumer of Iran's oil and a strategic ally, which could provide leverage over Iran.
The president very much wants the Chinese to use their influence with Iran to reopen the strait.
U.S. intelligence reports indicate Beijing was preparing to deliver new air defense systems to Tehran. China has denied providing weapons, but the dynamic adds to the existing frictions from tech, trade, critical minerals, and Taiwan, all of which are on the table, with trade deals expected, showcased by some of America's tech leaders joining President Trump, including Elon Musk and Tim Cook. As China provides presidential pomp and circumstance, some of its people weary of the U.S.-China relationship.
我对他没有好印象，因为那个美伊战争也是他那个挑起来的。你看之前打经济贸易战，不是也是他吗？
In Washington, Brian Abel, Fox 61.
Well, trending on our website right now, a man crushed by a pallet yesterday in South Windsor. It happened at a Home Depot warehouse on Ellington Road. Police say the victim was hospitalized with a serious head injury, but they haven't yet said how it happened. Officials did say they notified the Occupational Safety and Health Administration about the injury.
Well, take a look here. This is the scene after Manchester firefighters rescued a person who fell 20 feet down an embankment. Now, this happened last night by the strip mall on Slater Street. Officials tell us that person was leaning against a fence when it broke. Crews say it took them 30 minutes to get the person out using a ladder and rope. Right now, that person is recovering in the hospital with serious injuries.
And right now in Wethersfield, a part of Broad Street is closed while crews repair a gas leak. Firefighters say a 3-inch gas main near the Silas A. Robbins house was hit around 9:40 this morning. Connecticut Natural Gas stopped the leak a couple of hours later. Officials didn't give us a timeline on when the road is expected to